Welcome back to the Mind and Muscle Beyond 40 podcast. And today's theme is all around the audacity of the pivot, finding your voice when life unravels. And I'm really excited to interview today's guest. But if you're new to the podcast, welcome. Mind and Muscle Beyond 40 is an all-in-one wellness ecosystem built on really 5 pillars that every woman over 40 should be paying attention to: mindset, muscle, nutrition, biohacking, and managing your menopausal symptoms. A very big part of this podcast is, however, mindset. And today's guest is a shining example of how taking control of your mindset in midlife is crucial to really own your confidence and really step into your power as a woman. So without further ado, let's jump into this episode. And I am beyond excited to have a chat with today's guest. I mean, can we just take a minute to appreciate the outfit? Incredible. But before I introduce Lu, look at her. Before I introduce her properly, I want to read a little bit from her bio because, honest to God, it is sensational. So, wonderful Lu is a 55-year-old women's empowerment activist. She is a self-love and confidence coach, a podcaster, motivational speaker, MC, event host, disruptor, shame buster, accidental middle-aged influencer, my favorite part, Hikesquad CEO, celebrant, and captain of the Self-Love Squad. And really, that is just scratching the surface, people. Lu, welcome to today's podcast episode. I'm so honored to have you here. Honestly, so Lu and I met at a networking event, actually for International Women's Day earlier this month.
Yeah, we did.
And I just kind of put on my big girl pants and I went up to Lu and I was like, honestly, I've been following you for years. I've been so inspired by you and I need you on the podcast. And she just said yes. So welcome. Thank you for being here.
It's funny. I think I get requests for podcasts from people going, I don't know, I haven't got many listeners and blah, 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 blah. And I have never, ever once had an invite for a podcast and then gone to see how many followers they've got and made a thing on that. I've done podcasts where I think one person's listened because so many people have helped me on my journey.
Yeah.
And, I just, any opportunity I get or any wisdom I can impart or anything, it's always, I don't know who says no. But anyway.
You would be amazed. And talking about influencers, you would be amazed. I think people, unfortunately, we're now in a place where people believe their own hype. And I also appreciate that people are busy. There's only so many hours in the day, but it is just hugely refreshing how down to earth you are. And having seen you in action as an MC at this incredible event, I immediately just felt like, you were just your passion for women and the sort of radical self-love journey that you've been on as a woman. I just knew I had to have you on the podcast because one of the biggest things for my listeners is mindset. We go, and I know that you're 55, but I'm 43 this year, I think. But one of the biggest things that we always talk about is mindset because it just gets harder and harder and harder to pick yourself up, pull yourself up by the bootstraps and get on with your shit, right?
It's literally the key to everything, really. And it's something that's in everybody's reach, right? It's something everybody can do. That's not going to cost you any money. There's no monthly subscription to Mindset.
So true. Yes.
It's something you can do for free. I'm not saying it's always easy. You have to get the tools to sort of like keep reminding yourself. Even I have to do that. I was coaching. I've got a self-love coach and she is setting up she came to me, she's trying to raise her profile. She's trying to raise her coaching business for, she's all about ditching the diets and, taking control of your relationship with your body. And, she has a picture, she has a photograph of herself when she was 10. And that was the first time she remembers thinking I'm fat. She was 10 years old.
God, wow.
And she remembers the picture being taken and she remembers that feeling. And she's had a lifetime of eating disorders that she's now, still, of course, it's a lifelong battle for nearly all of us. But
yeah,
she's now, like most women, turning her shitty hard bits into, help for somebody else.
Yeah.
But she's struggling. So I'm trying to encourage her to build a community rather than just, I can help you make reels. I can teach you how to send, whatever newsletters. But how about building a community where you bring women together to talk about that? Because we have not got time now for coaching one-to-one. I'm like, no, I'm building leaders. If you're not interested in building a community. I started off, my mission was always one woman at a time. And now I'm like, right, no, we need to build community now. It's
Yeah.
like, now is the moment. So I'm sort
Yeah.
of really pushing her out of her comfort zone to build this community and like of like-minded people. I'm like, go and nab all those women from Slim Fast
Yes.
who
Oh
are
my
paying
goodness. Yes.
£15 a week, get them to
Yeah.
come and talk real shit with you and
Yeah.
like, and offer some solutions that aren't based in calorie counting and setting them
Actual
up to
real,
fail.
real
Yes.
connection, true
Yes.
connection. Yeah. I
And
love
then your
that.
coaching business will come from that. But
Mm,
this is where the power's at.
mm.
So I'm really pushing her out of her comfort zone with it a little bit. And last week she went, I think I should just apply for a job in Tesco's. And I'm like, absolutely not. I said, but there's been days when I've gone, I can't do this, and applied for a job in Starbucks. I mean, I applied for a job in Starbucks when I was where you are, and I didn't get the job. And I was so mortified. But it's for a
That's
reason.
great.
I didn't get it for a reason.
You know what? I'm a big believer in that. And, what is meant for you will be, but pretty much any time in life, the stuff that is worthwhile is always going to be the hardest stuff. And just
Yeah,
pushing
and
through that is what makes you be become the person you are. And I think you've probably had a lot of experience in that because you've been on your own wild ride of self-love. I mean, do you want to share a quick sort of overview of I feel like you've had you've been through almost like the first metamorphosis and now you're kind of mid the second one, aren't you?
yeah, I think so. I call them the chapters really because I think,
Yeah.
one day I was writing my book synopsis, which I still haven't actually written, but I got as far as the synopsis.
Well, that's
And
something.
I get very sidetracked. The ADHD is not helpful some days. The hyperfocus is like groundbreaking, world record breaking, but the procrastination, oh my
God,
God,
yeah. Yeah.
I'm easily distracted. But when I was writing it, I was like, God, my life, it was actually quite easy to write the chapters because my life has fallen into so many distinct sort of chapters. And so now one of the key pieces of advice I always give people is think of yourself as this best-selling book. And there's all these
Mm,
chapters, right? And there's good chapters and there's bad chapters and there's traumatic chapters. And I bet there's chapters in there that you would probably maybe think about rewriting if you could. But actually, if you can sit in peace with if you look at it as a book and all these chapters, hopefully you can sit in peace even with the shit chapters because they're the bits that make you who you are.
yeah.
And half of you would be missing if you didn't have all of those chapters. It all goes to make up this bestseller.
So
Um,
true. I love that.
if you could ever write the damn thing.
It's going to be a bestseller if you can sit your ass down and write it.
But I'm going to do this as quickly as I
Mm,
can. So I was born a vicar's daughter, which meant moving. We moved loads. I mean, I just said that as the main thing that came out of being a vicar's daughter, but I think it was quite a distinct part of it. Wherever God called, off we hoofed.
wow.
And I think that now I realize as a child that was really hard. It was helpful if I'd got myself a bad reputation in school because I was rather fond of the boys and getting into trouble.
Okay.
So I could move and start again. So I learned to reinvent myself over and over again. And I also grew up in learning how to read the room because the front doorbell was always going in the vicarage. So it might be somebody who's bereaved and they come for to organize a funeral. It might be a couple coming to get married or looking for a baptism. Could be somebody homeless looking for food. It might be the bishop. It might be the mayor. Like you just never knew who would be at the front
Wow.
doors. So I was making beans on toast for the homeless around age 10.
Wow.
And just it was wild growing up in the vicarage. But that sense of community,
Mm,
um, whatever you think of religion, that sense of community and being gathered together in common purpose, whatever it may be. Now I realize it's not just church. It can be your workout class, your hiking group, your girl gang, whatever
yeah.
it may be, even if it's not a regular thing, but that, what's better than a girls' weekend? That moment of all being together, like,
Oh, yeah.
let's go. That's where power is. It's in community and connection. And,
Yeah.
so I've sort of almost done a full circle to that point.
I love that.
Um, Grew up loads, became very nimble at moving, reinventing myself, started again. It went off. I couldn't get into I couldn't get into university. I did my A levels, wanted to be a social worker. Couldn't get into college then until you were 21 to do social work. You had to go off and get some experience in the social work arena. So I wanted to work with young offenders. So I went off to Cardiff
Wow.
for a year, worked with young offenders. Then I went to Berlin and became a youth worker for British Forces kids out there. Yeah. Then I
Wow.
left there. I know. That was wild. Left there and went to and became a Club 18 to 30 rep. And now, if you don't know what Club 18 to 30 is, it was basically Tinder holidays.
It's
And
a good time.
my job was to get everybody stoned and laid and then bail them out of jail the next morning. So I was really, really, really good at that job.
Wow.
So I did that for a little while. Social work sort of gradually slipped down the list of
Yeah.
sort of
Well, I mean, it
priorities.
is still social work, isn't it? In a different
Still
way.
social work, just in a different kind. And also,
Yeah.
I was in my early 20s and I was having the
Yeah.
time of my life. I was in Ibiza, I was in
Oh,
Tenerife. I was like, they were the years for traveling, right?
yeah, for sure.
I came back from there. Then I met an electrician from Kent who'd come out on holiday and sort of decided to stay and work in a bar. But I was ready to come home, so I came home and I fell into advertising and got into advertising and managed to somehow land myself in a really super cool ad agency where and I started as the admin girl, and then I became the account executive, and then I got into the PR department, and then I got into comms, and then I met my
Nice.
husband at that agency, and then when I had my son, we moved to Brighton.
So
He
how
was
old were you when you met your husband? Okay.
I had kissed more frogs than you can shake a damn stick at. And then um, this lovely, beautiful man who was the very first man who refused to sleep with me on the first date, which
Wow. He's a
I know, which
keeper.
was so mind boggling to me. I was like, my God, this must be love. This is what love is. He doesn't want to sleep with me. That's how low my bar was for love.
Wow.
But in fairness, he was an absolutely beautiful man. So I married a beautiful man. We had a beautiful son. We had a beautiful life. We lived in Brighton. He was in advertising, but Brighton was too far for me to commute with Oscar. So I sort of resettled again in Brighton, I guess. So then I had to, it was another starting again. So I just started working in baby swimming, and then I bobbed around doing some odd things that fitted in with with him. And then I finally got into social services. I finally became a community family worker. So
Wow.
where families were in crisis and the kids were about to be removed and put into care, I'd go in as a sort of super nanny style social services super nanny and sort of teach parenting skills.
Wow.
And I
Fantastic.
loved that job so much.
So you went full
um
circle back to the social side of things again. So it was meant to
yeah.
be. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was really good at that. And
Mm,
lots of young mums, lots of
mm,
teenage mums struggling with their babies. And I think now I look back at that, the
mm,
reason I was good at that job and I was really good with naughty kids is because I'm so frank and honest, and that's what they
mm,
need. And I
mm,
remember working with young mums and being like, it's really fucking hard. And they're like,
mm.
oh, you can't say that. You work for social services. And I'm like, I'm a human being. Like, it's
Yeah.
really, really hard. No one's
Yeah.
expecting you to be perfect. And no
Mm,
one said that to these girls or these young people. And
yeah.
it's like, I was like, this shouldn't be new news. And
Yeah.
then and then my husband got offered a job in Portland in America, big fancy advertising job. So off we
Okay.
hoofed to America.
Yeah.
Oscar was 10. Um, and I think, I mean, at the time I was like, what are we doing? 'Cause we had a really good life. It felt selfish to go shake it up. But with Guy commuting every day to London, we were just living separate lives.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working for social services. He's making ads for Coca-Cola. You could
Mm-hmm.
literally not. We were living in such
Separate worlds.
separate worlds. We were like really sort of like losing each other.
Yeah.
So America was a beautiful opportunity for us to go and have a new life and a new adventure together. And he got offered a job in Portland, Oregon. And I remember being like, I don't want to go to fucking Portland. Where's that? Where's even Oregon? It looks really like grungy and green and like, ugh.
Lots of
And
mountains.
yeah, he was like, I'm not moving to California just for your suntan, And I was like, oh, okay, fine, we'll go to Oregon. Anyway, we were very outdoorsy, big snowboarders and campers. So, I mean, it was absolute heaven. And that
Yeah.
really, from the day we arrived, we started to lose each other even more.
Mm.
He started his new job and I couldn't work. I didn't have a visa for work.
Right.
And so I was gifted 18 months of not being able to work, even if I wanted to. And I started a
Wow.
hiking group of women, and this changed my life forever. These women, this group, these adventures that we had every week, it happened all by accident. And
And these are women
it
you just met through
yeah, at
through
school,
sort
I
of
did the first hike
school.
by
Yeah.
myself and just
Yeah.
posted it on Facebook. And one of the mums
I
at the
love
school
that.
gate said, "Can I come with you next week?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure.
Nice.
Bring a mate if you want." So the
That's
first week there was
amazing.
me. The next week there was two of us. The next week there was four. The next week there was, and some weeks there'd be 30, and some weeks there'd be four of us. Like it just depended who would
Yeah.
come.
Yeah.
But each week, the only rule was you had to bring something to share for lunch, and you had to bring a can of hiking wine, because in America they put
Nice.
champagne in a can and it's so civilized.
I love that.
I really
Hiking
should
one.
bring that here. I just, you can get cocktails in a can now, can't you? But like,
I
I
know,
still
it's
haven't seen
fantastic.
champagne in a can.
I love
And
that.
excuse me, having a swig of tea. Mm. And, but they changed, I think, finding fitness. I found CrossFit at the same around
Mm.
the same time as starting the hiking. So the strength that I got from these women and these
Mhm.
adventures and getting fit gave me a confidence in my body I'd never had before. It gave me a
What
mental
Lou, what
strength
age
I'd
were
never
you at
had.
this point?
Probably at the same age you are, like 43,
40.
44.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
And so this went on for, I started coaching the kids CrossFit. I started coaching kids
Wow.
track and field. So I sort of mishmashed my new fitness with the kids and sort of did
That's
that.
amazing. Yeah.
And again, that sort of sense of achievement of watching them achieve stuff was just like amazing to me. And the CrossFit community are just
Mm.
a badasses. You know,
Yeah.
you've got to,
Yeah.
people go, you know, you either sort of CrossFit or you don't. I think there's a lot
Yeah.
of misrepresentation around the community, but
Yeah.
that community, they will stand and they cheer. It's going to make me cry. They will stand and they clap the last person in, and no one leaves until the last person finishes. And so
That's
although
incredible.
it's just, I'd never experienced anything like that. And the
Yeah.
Americans are so like, fuck yeah, let's
I
go.
love that. I
Yeah.
honestly, like, I've literally just come back from Florida, and every time I'm in the US, I kind of don't want to come back, if I'm honest,
Yeah.
because there is that sense of support and just cheering each
Yeah.
other on. And it's
But
it's 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 addictive, to be honest. I
you
love
can
that.
say a lot about America. Obviously,
Mm.
it's, you know, but everywhere has its tricky parts and its tricky
Yeah.
people. But that sense of um success, and they want you to succeed, and that is
Yes.
very
Yeah.
different to British
It
mentality. The
is very,
American
very
dream
different.
is everything is possible,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they want that to be a thing. And I'm talking
Yeah.
from a place of very wide the privilege here. So my experience is not that of everybody,
Mm.
but you
Mm.
know, so then after this epic rise in my confidence, you know, my husband's confidence was actually sort of, we'd lost each other, completely lost each other along the way. You know, I'm changing quite dramatically at this point, and I'm also reaching perimenopause around
So
48.
so so two quick questions on this. So he wasn't doing the CrossFit with you.
No. In fact,
Okay.
he found the CrossFit incredibly difficult. So
Okay.
I'd always battled my food. I've always been, you know, I've gone up and down in my weight, but I'd also, you know, mostly been sort of relatively skinny post having Oscar. And when we were in the UK, I joined a boot camp, which I'd loved. It was out in the park every morning at 6 a.m. and that was wicked.
Yeah.
And then I reached a point where I wanted to get more ripped. I think social media was really starting to take off. Tumblr
Mhm.
had started, and I kept seeing like really sort of like toned, ripped birds, and I was like, I want a bit of that.
I want some of that.
I want some of that. So in boot
Yeah.
camp there wasn't enough weights for me at boot
Yeah.
camp
Yeah.
to get that ripped. So I went
Yeah.
and joined a bodybuilding gym. And there was a
Nice.
Serbian bodybuilder called Sergey, and he had a
Love
little
that.
garage, and he did sort of like personal training classes of 8. So there's 8 of us at a time. So we'd have a time slot, but each of us had our own program, and he'd just keep an eye on the 8 of us. So it was kind of really intense, but it was wicked. And my body
Right.
changed
Yeah.
like overnight. And for the first time, and this was before we left for America, so I was in early 40s, but it's the first time in my life I was like, this is what my body was made to look like this sporty, kind of stocky sort of like shape I have
Yeah.
always had.
Honestly, your legs, like,
It's genes,
incredible.
though. It's
I'm jealous,
genes.
but I'm a long, tall Sally. Okay, so I'm gonna have to work twice as
Oh,
hard to get those legs. Okay, but I have so much admiration for women with really strong muscular legs because that is hard. Like it's
yeah,
hard
it's
stuff.
hard, but
Yeah,
I think a lot of it's genes too. My mum had good
yeah,
legs. I don't know. I think a lot of it's genes.
yeah,
But that instantly, the bodybuilding, my body just changed in shape, and I literally
yeah.
loved it. And I was just in. I was so in. My family performed my family performed a bodybuilding intervention on me. And not long before we went to America, they sat me down and they're like, "We're already worried about you. Your husband's finding it really difficult." And my ex-husband now ex-husband had gone to my family and just been like, "She's obsessed. She's changing. I don't like
Wow.
her body. I don't find it sexy." And I'm just sitting there looking at all the people I love the most telling me they're worried about me because what? Because I feel the best I've ever felt physically. It was like so confusing to me. I was like, what's happening? And now, 10 years down the road, when I look back at that, I'm like, oh my God, it wasn't my body that he was finding unsexy. It was
Yeah.
the confidence that was coming with
Yes.
that.
He
And
didn't
that
like
was
it.
what was rattling him. They were like, we think you must be taking, you must be on steroids,
Right.
da 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 da. And I'm like, this is hard work and this is confidence. This is me
Yeah.
feeling confident. Like it blows my mind now. I see it with different eyes on
Yeah.
reflection.
The perspective.
So when we
It's
went to
interesting to me as well how people when you change, um, and personally, I've had experiences as well with change over the last few years, and particularly after 40, because something happens when you go past 40. You become more of who you're supposed to be, but you also learn to care less about what other people think. And the people closest to you aren't always on board, which you're shocked by because you think, but you're the people closest to
who
me.
love me
But
the most?
they find
Surely
it the
this you should
hardest.
just
Yeah.
roll along with that. But
Yeah.
it's very confronting with people if it's
Mm.
a rise in a confidence that's a change like that. It
Yeah.
makes, for some reason, I don't know, it's very confronting for people. And I think that goes
Mm.
back to America then. That's in America, they love that for
Yeah.
you.
Yes. I'm like, yes, we should all be more
The
like that.
Brits
It's
are
great.
kind of like, we're just really hatey. We're really trained,
Yeah.
especially as women,
It's
I think
yeah.
also.
It's
We feel
the
very
the
threatened by each other because
pessimism.
that's, yeah,
Mm.
we've been trained to feel threatened by each other. We're
Yeah.
trained to feel fear. We've been,
Yeah.
the change, and you get to menopause, it's all about the change, like it's a
Mm.
bad thing. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm the queen of fucking change. Honestly, I love it. I'm like, I don't know why people don't feel excited by this. Any chance of change, I'll just like, I'll switch it up.
It all
But I
comes down to your perspective and how you look at it or what kind of lens you're wearing when you look at menopause. Because I have had some very negative echo chambers in my life that I've decided to kind of just cut out because honestly, it's even more important now in your life to choose who you let into your brain and to get rid of the negative connotations around menopause because it really is what you make of it.
God, I love a boundary. But
Mm,
for years even, I thought boundaries just
yeah.
meant how to tell people to fuck off better. But, it took me years to understand the boundaries. Boundaries include getting to ask for what you want and what you
Yes.
need and,
Yes.
protecting your space, not just like, no, I don't like you. I need less of that. But it
Yeah.
took me a really long time. And I think when I hit perimenopause, biggest changing point for me was hitting perimenopause, but I didn't know. I mean, perimenopause wasn't even a thing when I was in perimenopause.
So what
I
age were
was
you when you hit perimenopause?
I think now it was like 48 looking back.
Okay. Yeah.
But even that, so that's like 7 years ago, only 7 years ago, no one was talking about it. It
Mm,
was not a
mm,
sort of, it wasn't a mainstream conversation like it is now.
no.
There wasn't, menopause coaches. There was nothing like that. I just thought I was going to shrivel up and die at some point. Like, we've been led to believe.
Yeah.
But I'm finding this confidence. And like you say, just woke up one morning and I just gave less fucks. And I was
Yeah.
like, what's happening right now? This is eighth. And I thought
Yeah.
I was the only one it was happening to. Right around the same time as social media was really sort of picking up. So,
Yeah.
I was trailblazing this whole like zero fucks club, blah, 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 blah. No idea really what was happening to me. Now, again, when I look back, I'm like, oh my God, that was perimenopause. I'm like,
Perimenopause.
it was
Your brain
perimenopause.
chemistry was changing. It was fantastic.
Yeah, my estrogen's like
Estrogen
dripping
was
out of
like, yeah,
me.
I'm done. I'm
Yeah.
out. Was
My
this around the same time that you posted that beautiful naked
Yeah.
photo of you on the mountain? I
Yeah.
mean,
So then on
love
the
it.
top of a volcano one day, I just
Fantastic.
took
And
my
what
clothes off to
can
take
you
a picture.
like what led up to that point? Did you just go, why not? Or were you thinking I need to do something amazing to plant a flag, so to speak?
You know what? It was not planned at all. I actually had this pink gown that I'd taken, carried all the way up to this top of this damn volcano. We did a shoot with a gown and it's absolutely stunning. And it was such a beautiful day. The view was like nothing else I'd seen. And I went to my mate, "Do you know what? I'm just going to take it off and like just take a naked picture of myself." And I'll
Yeah.
never forget it for as long as I live, because I look at that picture now, means so much to me.
Yeah.
So many things go through my head because it was the beginning of a huge next chapter. Because I look at the picture and I felt exactly how I look in the picture, so strong and bold and, brave. And I'm top of this volcano and it's just amazing. Out of the picture, just to my left, was two old guys who were having a packed lunch. And one of them go, "Well, she's bold." I'll never forget it for as long as I live.
You probably
And
made
then,
the entire year. Come on.
mate, I think they probably still talk about me. I wonder if
Like,
they
remember that
ever,
day?
because I've now done a TED talk about this. So I don't know if they've ever seen the
Fantastic.
TED talk and they go, "That was us having our packed
Yeah,
lunch next
that's
to her."
us.
But that
Amazing.
I posted that picture and got my very first dick pic.
Isn't that the barometer of success, really?
Isn't that just the, and as a feminist, I'm like, it's the, even in my TED talk, I'm like, I would just like to say, I hate giving the dick the power, and the dick wasn't even that great. And I often wonder if the dick's seen my TED talk about the dick pic. But the dick pic unleashed something in me. Nothing ever happened from the
Yeah.
dick pic, but
Yeah.
it began an unraveling because it made me feel horny.
Mm.
And I
Mm.
was so sad that it made me feel horny. I was like, "What
Yeah.
the hell? What does that
Yeah.
mean?" Like, and then I
Yeah.
realized how long it is since I'd felt like that. And so it began this unraveling. So I ended up separating from my husband, moving into the spare room. This is all in the middle of lockdown now. Moved into
Wow.
the spare room and I started sharing my journey online. I was done with, the zero fucks was in full effect.
Yeah.
We're in lockdown. I'm like, I'm done with, trying to look fancy. And,
Yeah.
I suddenly felt lived a very fortunate life. My husband earned a lot of money. We lived in a beautiful house. I moved with a lot of people who had a lot of wealth. I was living absolutely beautiful life, but it suddenly felt not right. Something was
Yeah.
really out of kilter for me. And so I just started really showing up online. I started chatting online about how I felt, for real. The good bits, the bad bits, the challenging bits. And my direct messages just blew up with women going, "Oh my God, me too." And like, "I'm disconnected. I feel invisible. I'm vanishing in
Yeah.
menopause." And I was like, "Yes, you
Yeah.
don't have to. You don't
Yeah.
have to. There's other ways." And my community grew really quickly. But I was just overwhelmed with messages from women who were desperately sad and desperately struggling. And I was like, I just can't stand this for another
Yeah.
woman. I can't.
Yeah.
How has it taken me this long to find my confidence? Number
Yeah.
one. Like, imagine if I felt this confident when I was 25, the things I could have
Yeah.
achieved. I mean, I think when I look back
Mm.
now, also, I do a lot of reflection. But
Mm.
looking back, I do think there was lots of things where I should have felt proud of myself, but I dimmed all that because my
Yeah.
husband's career was important and he earned all the
Right.
money.
Yeah.
I was working part-time for social services, chair of the PCA. None of that really contributed to the household that much. So my value was very low. My priorities were very, very, my priorities moved right down to the bottom of the list. It became
Yeah.
very much about my husband. And that again was not because my husband was like, "I'm more important." That was
Mm.
just patriarchy in full
Yeah.
fucking effect.
Yeah.
Um, and the fact that, money in our house was the measuring stick of value.
Right.
So he felt most entitled because he earned the most money, and I felt least entitled. And that
Of
was
course.
neither. There was just a lack of conversation in the middle there. And a lack of my ability, believe it or not, because listen to me now, I can't shut up, but my ability to ask for what I needed and say what was important to me.
Yeah.
So back to America, my DMs are full of women. I'm like, what the hell am I going to do next? And so I decided one day I went out for a hike and I just saw an old bus by the side of the road.
I
And
love
I was
that.
like, I said to my mate, oh, pull over. So we swerved off the road and I was like, I could buy this bus and I could travel around America and just go and meet all these women. And she's like, all right, whatever. And I went, no, I don't know. I can't shake the idea anyway. So we drove home and that night there was a huge storm. And in the house, I was on my own in the house. There was a massive storm and an old 200-year-old tree got hit by lightning and fell down. And it clipped to the edge of the house. It would have fallen on the house, I'd be dead.
My
But
God.
instead, it fell very neatly between us and the neighbour, but it clipped the house enough to like judder the whole house. And
Wow.
I'm like, it's the sign, I should buy the bus. And that was it.
Buy the bus.
Buy the bus. Within 2 weeks, I'd found another bus because that one wasn't right, but I found another one, crowdfunded the bus, and got a one-way ticket down to Arizona to go and collect the damn thing. Drove it
Amazing.
back up to Portland, got ready. When my son graduated from high school 6 months later, I then set off on a tour around America. And the idea was do the bus up so everyone would see it coming, throw events everywhere I went to connect women locally and build community. And I did 28 states and 10,000 miles. And then I got wild.
Incredible. How
And
how did you finance this?
oh, well, again, hilarious. This is America for you. So, crowdfunded the bus. I had strangers in the supermarket offering me checks because they'd seen me online talking about it.
Fantastic.
And then America, I'm like, right, who do I want to work with? Who would help me pay for this? So I was like, right, I picked 5 brands that I just really loved and just gave him a call and went, look, I'm looking for 10 grand. You want to give me 10 grand to fund this tour? So I got a female owned gin distillery company.
Love
I had a
that.
vibrator company because on my mission board was throwing vibrators out the window as I went through the
Fantastic.
Bible Belt.
On brand.
Vulva wellness brand, gin owned distillery company. I made an edible with some female black growers,
Wow.
collective with black female growers. And I approached a period poverty charity and they paid me to represent them on the way.
That is incredible.
That paid for the
Again, it
fuel,
just
just
speaks to
about.
like community, isn't it? Women want to
Yeah.
be part of something incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was just, and none of
Love
them,
that.
ironic, none of them really wanted anything in return. None of them really.
Amazing.
And so I went trundling off with 1,000 vibrators, 1,000 cans of gin and tonic, and 1,000 edibles in the back, and a shit ton of like salve for your vulva.
That sounds like the most epic road trip ever.
It really was. So I got to New York and I was like, oh, I'd had such an adventure. I mean, the events were amazing, but the women in need and who'd come to the door of the bus and they'd just seen me pull into the campsite or on the road and
Yeah.
Googled me. And from that,
Yeah.
felt able to come knock at the door. And I'm like, this is too powerful. I'm going to take it back to the UK.
So
So
you know
then,
what I think as well, you being the woman that you are and kind of swanning around the US, showing other women what is possible for them as well if they take up, space.
space.
I think it's such a powerful thing. And it's also, I mean, you'll probably be hearing this for, the rest of the time, but the impact that you've had on women. I sometimes read some of the DMs and some of the messages you share on Instagram. And even though you are affecting or you are impacting hundreds and hundreds and thousands of women, it's always the one woman that you're helping her change her own life. That is so incredible.
And that's all I've ever wanted to do, really, is just change, help people change their mindset, change how they think about things, and just see what happens.
Yeah.
The clothes. I think I lure people in with the outfits because
Yeah.
the way I dress brings people to me and opens conversations, and it's a great
Yeah.
way to bond with women,
Yes.
and people, not just women.
Yeah.
Because through this work, I've also met hundreds of men who are like, how do we do this? How do we get vulnerable? How do we do
Yeah.
this? Like, what do we, and they need the self-love revolution as much
love
as
that.
women do. They're victims of
Yeah.
patriarchy as much as we are.
Yeah.
And unless we meet in the middle somewhere, we're all fucked. So,
Exactly.
I'm trying to kind of lean my work towards men as much as I can as well
Yeah.
to get the message out. So when I got back to the UK, I moved back and brought the bus with me. That was 3.5 years ago. And then the first year back was just, honestly, it was quite brutal. I came home riding high from the tour, got
So
divorce
this
money in
was
the bank.
2023,
Three,
2022, 3. Yeah.
end of 2023. I came home and I was riding high with like, I had half the divorce money in the bank. I just finished the tour. I was like, anything's fucking possible.
Yeah.
I've been living in America for 10 years. And like,
Bring the
literally,
Americanism with you. It's great. We
yeah.
need
And
that
then there's like
energy.
crickets, like actual crickets. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then really quickly, quite a few amazing things happened. I got offered a podcast on Global, which was huge. I got offered 2 or 3 really big events for massive money. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to smash this. It's going to be brilliant. So then I promptly blew through my divorce money, put a year down on a house rent for a house that I could not afford, really. I thought I was going to be fine, genuinely thought I'd be fine. So spent all my divorce money, which was my son's college fees and my, you name it. Spent the whole lot thinking I'd be fine, only to discover that I wasn't. And then it was a bit harder than at home. And then adjusting to
Yeah.
just a huge grief. I think I probably spent that first year in full blown grief. My mum had died. So moving back and realizing that mum actually was dead. Obviously, she died about a year or so before. But I
Yeah.
came home and she was like double dead because I'd sort of managed to somehow, in my mind, she was alive. And when I came home, so suddenly there was a
Oh,
much bigger
the
gap where she
reality of it.
wasn't.
Yeah.
Grief for my marriage because nothing, it's not like either of us cheated or anything like that. So there's no one for me to sit and
Yeah.
be angry at other than just a deep sadness for the fact that it hadn't worked out and that we just let it go to the point where we couldn't find our way back to each other. I left my son behind in America. He was traveling and then going to college because now, of course, I've got an American son because he's been there so long. And then grief for America, my girlfriends, my hike squads,
Yeah.
my mountains.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. So it's been the ultimate reinvention on the other side of divorce. And it was an amicable, dead easy, no quibble divorce, and I watched so many women and families tear each other apart. I was like, I
Yeah.
just can't bear that for us. So stupidly just divorced him really quickly and cheaply, which was silly because
Yeah.
that screwed me up. But to be fair, if I'd not screwed him, but if I'd,
Yeah.
made him go to court and got more, I would have just spent it anyway. So I'd still be in the same position. I just would have spent even more.
Yeah.
And then I found myself absolutely broke and having to move out of this beautiful house that I'd rented.
Mm-hmm.
The bus was still sort of stuck in I put the bus on a very expensive ship back to the UK.
Wow. Okay.
Only to discover that the DVLA wouldn't even let her on the road. So she
My
sat
God.
she sat in a shed for 18 months while I tried to just
Oh,
sort of like get her
Susie.
on the road. Susie.
Susie
And
babes.
then I had to do my HGV driving license to drive her, even though I've driven a flipping tens of thousands of miles
My
myself.
God.
So
Wow.
I don't know. I moved out, came to stay with my boyfriend, reconnected with an old love, and I came to stay with him 18 months ago for a couple of months, and I'm still here.
It's
But
amazing.
the last year, so then that first year I spent all the money, and then managed to get myself right in trouble. And then last year I spent most of the year just trying to figure out how to get myself out of the money situation and just sort of like
Yeah.
pay back what I got myself in trouble with, and just try and figure out how do I make money.
Yeah.
But I finally managed to get the bus out on the road, found an amazing guy who drove me everywhere, and I packed
Fantastic.
up all these amazing clothes that I have, and I
Yeah.
travel to events, letting women just get dressed up in my wardrobe and try new things and see how it feels to be a little bit braver and
Love
like,
that. Love
look,
that.
ooh, nothing happens. It's just fun.
Ooh, you feel amazing though.
Yeah, intentional fun. Like, when
Yes,
do we do
intentional
that? When do
fun.
we allow
More
ourselves that?
oxytocin. We don't. Like I keep saying to the women in my coaching group, more oxytocin, pleplease. Whatever it is that makes you
Please.
happy, more of that first.
Do
Yeah.
it. Like,
It's
wear the
crazy.
sequins to the supermarket, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever it, because
Yeah.
it's so much more fun. You have nice conversations, you make
Mm.
people smile, you feel great. Because trust
Yeah.
me, you could get hit by you could get hit by a bus tomorrow, and that dress you're
Exactly.
saving is
Like
never
I
going to
I
see the
keep
light of
thinking
day.
that event that I met you at in Brighton, like I looked around me at one point and I just looked at all the women and I thought, you know, we're all just here, we feel amazing, we look amazing, we've made an effort and we're just celebrating one another and it's just so powerful. When you get dressed up and you feel good, amazing things happen. 100%. It's like you attract
And
these
so
wonderful things into your life.
I've developed, the trouble is also for me, I think, in terms of trying to figure out how how I
Mm.
monetize this mission to empower women. has been really tricky one, because as an influencer, and I call myself an accidental influencer, I never set out, and I'm a bit of an odd influencer because I don't actually sell anything. There's a few
Okay,
brands
but
that I'll work with.
before we get into the accidental influencer, can we just have a quick chat about the shower chair? Okay, and your very first product as an influencer. Do you want to just tell the listeners a little bit about that?
We were back in the States, and I was like, oh man, okay, well, I guess I'm a sort of influencer now. And I was in a fortunate position because my husband earned a lot of money, so I wasn't sort of having to pay the rent with the bills at that point. A brand hit me up, and they were a brand new brand themselves. They were bringing out a range of products to try and bust the myths around aging. So I was like, okay. And they went, we'd love you to be our very first influencer for our very first product. And I went, oh my God, this is so exciting. So I'm like texting all my mates going, oh my God, I've got a first paid job. This is so exciting.
Okay, and
And
how
then
old are you at this point?
44, 45. They were like, I was like, what's the product? And they went, a shower chair. And I went, what? And they were like, a shower chair. And I went, what, like for old people? Like, what? And they went, yes. And I went,
Wow.
well, I don't know if that's
Wow.
really for me. And all,
I'm a bit.
I don't know about that then. So all my mates are like cracking up. And then, but then over
Oh,
that
that's
weekend, I
fantastic.
know I really remember it clearly, because all that weekend, I said no to them on the Friday. And then all weekend, everywhere I went, I was regaling this story of how I've been offered a shower chair. But every time I told the story, it was something that just didn't feel quite right. Something wasn't sitting quite right in me. And I was like, what's going on? And I was like, you're out here going, oh, you're growing old
Yeah.
disgracefully, getting old is great. You can't just be that saying that because you're 47 and you're still, pretty young, really. 47's nothing. And
Yeah.
you can't be like, well, I'm only saying that when I'm 47. I don't actually believe it for when I get to a point where I need a shower chair. Like, that's not genuine. Like, you're either
Yeah.
in this
Yeah.
anti-aging, fuck aging, whatever, or you're not. Like, which is
Yeah.
it? Are you either authentic? I hate that word, but you're either authentic or
Yeah.
you're not. And I
Yeah.
was like, if I die on any sword, it will be being authentic and real, because that's all
That's
of our
it.
superpowers is the fact.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I have copycats nicking my ideas and all of these things. No one can take away who you are. Like,
Yeah.
and if you stay true to that, then there's nothing anybody can copy.
I love that.
And so I was like, God, I'm gonna have to say yes to the shower chair. So I emailed back and went, okay, fine, I'll do the shower chair. I'll do the shower chair. So it promptly arrives, and it's a huge flipping thing. And I never get, 'cause it sat in the corner of the sitting room for about 2 weeks, and I just kept kicking it. Every time I walked by, I kicked the fucking thing. And I was like, fine, okay, what am I going to do with the shower chair then? How am I going to sell a shower chair? It's like, what's the most iconic shower
My
scene you can
God.
ever think of? And of course, it's the scene in Dirty Dancing when she like pulls
Yes.
the thing. Not Dirty Dancing, Flash Dance. So I was
Flash
like,
dance.
fine.
Flash dance.
So I was like, right. So I called a couple of mates and I went, I need you to come and film. We were going down to the big fountain in
With my shower
downtown
chair.
Portland, and I'm going to try with the thing, my leg warmers on and the shower chair, and recreated flash dance in the fountain.
I'm gonna find a little photo on your feed and stick it in here, because if you're watching this on YouTube, you need to see like the
You
black
need to see
leotard,
it.
the leggings. She absolutely smashed it. I mean, there is no
I
better representation for a
smashed
shower chair.
that.
You
So
smashed that.
that went
Yeah.
mega viral
Wow.
back then, which was
I bet that company were overjoyed.
yeah, they've gone bust now. But I sold so many shower
Well,
chairs.
not because of you.
I sold so many showers, and I learned so many people use shower chairs. Some people are just lazy and like sitting
Well,
down in
there
the
we
shower.
go.
I can't think of anything worse, but there we are.
You've
Some
made the
people
shower
have
chair
to,
cool.
and you don't have to be old to have a shower. I just thought, oh, it
Yeah.
just meant I'm old. People who are, not able-bodied, people who
Yeah, exactly.
can't stand. Some people just like it to shave their legs with.
Yeah.
Like, people bought it for their parents. I
Yeah.
sold so many shower chairs. It was probably one of the best-selling items I've
Yeah.
ever represented. And I went absolutely.
Incredible.
It went pretty viral, and then it went viral again last year when I posted it, just for old time's sake. Because
Love that.
when I lived in Portland, I had a best friend who didn't work. She didn't have a full-time job. She just followed me around taking pictures of me. We were like snowboarding down
What a friend. I
mountains.
love
I
that.
know.
Jeez.
Everybody needs a friend
God.
without a job who just wants to help
Yeah.
you. build a brand. So she would just go, "Oh, the light looks amazing on the mountain.
My
Let's go
God.
snowboarding. I'm coming." And like, she just photographed. We've got so much good footage that I still dine out on today.
That is incredible.
Because now I'm back in Peckham without that friend and without without mountains to snowboard down. I've got a selfie stick in the back streets of Peckham. It's not quite, the
It's
feed is
not
not
quite the
quite.
same. Yeah, yeah. But it's real. It's real.
It's definitely on a
It's
journey. The
very
feed
real.
is on a journey with me.
Yeah, I love
So
that.
I don't know.
That's incredible.
And but
So
it went viral again. Oh yeah, no, I was
yeah,
going to say it went viral again last year, and I reposted it just for old time's sake.
it's
And
incredible.
hate I got on it was
Really?
unreal. The comments, it hit the wrong side of the internet and it
Right.
went viral. Facebook's just hideous. On
Mm.
Facebook, I don't know, it just went wild on Facebook, and the comments were vile. People were calling for my arrest. Ew,
Wow. Wow.
I was
This is where
making
we are
everyone.
now.
This is where we are.
This is
And
where
so
we
then I
are.
made the New York. I made the New York Post. I don't know. I hit all sorts of, the press picked it up, and it went pretty crazy.
Wow.
But my biggest upset was the fact that lots of those comments were from women, and
Mm. Mm.
it was so upsetting to me
That's
that
so sad.
that so many of these comments were from women. And so when it went viral, I then went viral again because I kept saying, "Why it's all fucking women?" They're like,
Yeah.
"Girls, come on! Like, what the
Yeah.
hell? This is awful." And then on that second sort of wave of going viral, um, people were like, "Oh, I can't believe these awful comments. Your body's amazing. You look fantastic. If I look like you, I'd wear a swimsuit." And I'm like, "No, still no, still no, still no. I know you're trying to be nice and I know you think that's a compliment, but we are still reinforcing the fact that you're judging me on my body one way or another.
That's it.
Whether you
Yeah.
whether you think I've got great, whether I should dance or not dance, still reinforcing to each other as women, and it's down to what I look like. Like, I
Exactly.
should just
Yeah.
dance in a fountain because
You
it's
should
fucking
just be able to do
badass."
it. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that was a kind of wild journey. That was last
That
year, my gal.
it's such a polarizing experiment, isn't it? And it is
Yeah,
sad because I do think when women see things like that, it kind of like stirs something up inside them. And they
yeah,
usually would make comments like that because they would never be able to do that.
it's
And
wild, isn't
so
it? I did this.
yeah.
I think. What I hope is, it's very difficult. I think because people always are surprised. Sometimes they're surprised when they meet me. They're like, "God, you're really nice. I thought you were going to be really like in my face," and I am really in my face. But there's a lot of this is just how I present myself, right? But if you
Yes.
take the time to scratch the surface, that
Yeah.
somebody is like, "You're so kind and nice." And
Yeah.
I'm like, "I hope
Yeah.
so." Like,
Yeah.
that's what I want people to remember me for.
Yeah.
But this is about this is often is like I said with the clothes, is like luring people in or making people look. And I think when I did Up the Bus, I wanted people to see it coming and
Yes.
ask, "What is that? What is she
Yeah.
doing?"
Starts the
And
conversation.
but
Mm.
if you scratch the surface enough, it'll lead you forward, right? So if you come and get dressed up for the wardrobe and you try
Mm.
something you wouldn't normally spend £100 on, but I let you try mine on,
Yeah.
it might just plant a seed in your mind that, oh, maybe I could. I'm not saying for one
Mm.
minute you need to dress like I do,
Yes.
but if one woman sees me and is like, "Well, if she can get away with that, maybe I should up my
Yeah.
game a little, or maybe that looks good. Maybe I should get my
Yeah.
sequins out for
It's
Sainsbury's."
these little seeds of confidence that you
It's
plant. And
little
isn't that just
seeds.
what the self-love revolution is all about? Because each
Yeah, and
person's journey is different.
I think that's going all the way back to the beginning of us talking about, but I think before we even started recording, we were talking about mindset and
Yeah.
how important that is. Showing up every day intentionally,
Yeah.
is what it's all about. And having intentional fun, dressing
Yes.
intentionally, and if you want to call that attention seeking, fine, call it what you like. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
I like to say I'm a professional attention seeker, but for a reason.
I love
And
that.
I think social media's, there are now people out there just trying to get famous and trying to get likes. And I think, those people have
Yeah.
always been out there. those people have
Yeah.
always been out there. They've always walked amongst us, but
Mm.
now there's platform for that.
Yeah.
And someone the other day called me a trailblazer, and I was like, oh, I thought, God, I said thank you so much. It's so amazing because, like, to be honest, I look at loads of stuff on Instagram. I was like, I was
Yeah.
doing that years ago. I was snowboarding down a
Yeah.
bloody mountain in a swimsuit 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Good luck. Have a great time. I've moved on now. I'm trying. My work's moved on. I'm probably just a bit jealous I can't snowboard down a mountain anymore. I don't know, there's space for everybody. Like,
Yeah.
you got to show up and do what you got to do. I'm never going to judge another woman for her choices. We all
Exactly.
are, we're all gloriously different. Imagine if we were all the same, how
It
awful
would
it
be
would
so
be.
boring. It would be so boring. And I 100% agree with you, because what attracts other women to you is your realness. Trying to find a word for authenticity, another word for that. But your rawness and your realness. And also, personally, I love how much of your the ups and the downs that you share, because personally, I've always struggled with sharing more of this sort of the struggle side of things, because it's just never felt like right for me. But it's kind of figuring out it's figuring out a way to share that side of things that feels comfortable for you, but also just stepping out of your comfort zone. But I love that
Yeah.
about you.
I think, I'm not saying for 1 minute that everyone should just start downloading their trauma all over the internet, because that doesn't do anybody any good.
Yeah.
I find a power for myself in making myself vulnerable. That is where I
Mm.
find the most strength comes, because I think that's the most valuable lessons for people. That's
Yeah.
that's about being authentic.
Yeah.
I try not to cry or blurt my problems if I don't have at least I'm not saying I can solve I don't go and cry and then solve it all, but
Yeah.
like helping people watch me resolve it or go through a thought process to go, okay, well, maybe that's what this is teaching me. Or
Yeah.
you know uh, it's taken me a long time to kind of train myself to know that. Funnily enough, the bus has taught me. I know it sounds
Mm.
really stupid. It might sound ludicrous, but the bus has taught me so many things. So I used to be such a control freak, like
Mm.
such a control freak. I clung on to everything so tightly. And then buying that rickety, rackety old vintage motorhome and driving around America, like alone, I had to just relinquish control of everything. I
Maybe I need
learned
to buy a
that
bus.
maybe everybody just needs to buy a bus. If it
Buy
breaks
Susie
down,
and
I'll
you'll sort
deal with
yourself
it.
out. Yeah.
If the tire goes, because there's always 10 reasons not to do something. There's
Right.
always a natural self-protection. We hold on to it goes back
Yeah.
to the, fear of change or whatever. We try to just protect ourselves and cling on to what's safe and what we know. And nothing good happens there. Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
you don't learn anything. You only learn when you fuck things up, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so this year, because I'm still, last year I did make some money, but not really enough, and not really enough for what I do. I don't,
Yeah.
for what I do is really transformative. But because I'm a
Yeah.
loudmouth 55-year-old woman who's quite political and outspoken with her politics,
Mhm.
I had dinner with a strategist friend at the end of last year, and she went, "Look, mate, if you're gonna," I was like, "I still can't find a brand to sponsor the tour. Like I've got 5 in America, trying to find a brand that
Yeah. Yeah.
will sponsor me." And she's like, "Look, if you're going to carry on being political, you're going to have to forget brand work. If I'm honest, if there is a brave enough brand, then great, but you can't rely on that. Also,
Mm.
I just think influencing is kind of dead.
Yeah.
We just bombarded with crap. No
It
one's
is.
gonna,
Yeah.
it's just
Inundated.
not. It's not. And I don't want to sell women more shit that they don't need.
Yeah.
So I was like, right, okay, take lessons from your own book. You're gonna have to lean into things that you don't want to do, lean into things that are uncomfortable, that, you know, and because you're ethical, you don't want to go for this brand or fast fashion or digital. What are you going to do? So I decided this year to do all the things that make me feel uncomfortable. Like
Mhm.
partnered with a woman who's very business minded, met this amazing woman. She had a brand called Shush Wellness. She's a black
Yes.
woman, black owned business.
Yes.
And she said, "You want to do a collab?" I said, "You fancy a collab?" I was literally just wanted to promote the woman's business, really, to be fair. And she went, "Well, why don't we do something proper and bring out a whole collection that's yours?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "What?" And she was like, and I was like, "Really?" So hang on, I'll show you.
This is
So we
exciting. I
have,
was going to talk about the Unshrunk collection.
yeah.
Here it is,
So
people, on
instead
your
of going
screen.
So instead of going cap in hand to bloody brands and ethical brands and selling shit, I was like, right, I'm going to put my name on a product that is it's tried and tested, and beautifully created
It's
by a black woman.
gorgeous.
Let's make it fun, because there's literally nothing in the menopause space with fun packaging. So if you've
Yes.
got to have a pain relief spray, let's make it at least look cute on the bedside and have a bit of living
Yes.
Lingland in there.
And it smells incredible. I was having a little look at it at the
Oh,
event that I went to. I was like,
yeah.
yes, yes to
So
all of this.
ironically, it's
Magnesium,
really
yes.
natural. It's
Mm,
really natural. And everything that I appear not to be in the packaging appears not to be. So it's kind of like this is me in a bottle. It's a juxtaposition. Like,
love
it
that.
looks one thing, but you smell it. And actually it's
Soothing.
completely natural and it's really effective.
Yeah.
Um, and so I'm so proud. So
Fantastic.
we've just released this.
And this is the Unshrunk collection, right?
It's called the Unshrunk collection. So there's, and it's not just for menopause. There's a flame fighter, which is for menopause.
Yes.
This is a pain relief one. So it's great for cramps and joint pain. My dad
Yeah.
uses it on his arthritis and absolutely loves it. There is a menopause gummy, which helps for mood swings, nausea, night sweats, really helps.
Love that.
And then the sleep spray, I haven't got on my desk because the sleep spray's by the bed. Um,
Yes.
but I got to tell you, the other day I was driving along. I wish I could have filmed it because it was absolute comedy. We'll have to do a reel about it at some point. Driving along, the sleep spray was next to me in my bag, and so I pulled it out, and I was like, I just love the smell of it. So I sprayed a bit on my hand, so I was smelling it as I was driving along, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my god, I was falling asleep on the way out. I nearly ended up in a
It is very
house.
effective.
I had
That,
to
I tell
pull
you what,
in
that
and get a
is,
double
yeah,
espresso. And I
that is
messaged Marva,
amazing.
my business partner, and I went, I just nearly fell asleep at the wheel. She went, that's some powerful shit, you idiot. I was like, oh, no,
Do not use while driving, people.
I need some warning label. So
So Lou, like so people can buy this on the actual website, right? And
yes,
on
there's
your
an
website as well.
Unshrunk website.
Mm.
And then I'm just literally tonight, I am about to launch, the bookings are opening for my camp. I do a self-love camp.
Yes, the self-love
This is
camp.
This is year
Amazing.
3, and it's everything
Wow.
from, oh my god, there's workouts, wanking, witches, beautiful
The
food.
two best W's. Hello.
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 Yeah, workshops, workouts,
Nice.
witches, wanking, anything that begins with W. There's a spa, there's inspiring speakers. And again, it's a bit of everything. You can come. It's like, and just, it's a busy, busy schedule for 3 days. It's
Incredible.
camping, and we just share space and share time and share food, and just, it's, yeah, pretty transformative sort of
Yeah.
4 days. I keep it a little bit mysterious. There's a bit of
Mm-hmm.
woo-woo in there, and there's a bit of it's just realness. The speakers and the facilitators I have are just real talkers. So there's no bullshit. Lots of people
Love
come by
that.
themselves and leave with a whole new family.
I love that.
And yeah, so it's a bit of everything. And you can come and take from it what you can get. Dive right in. We're doing a bit more, going a bit deeper with
Mm-hmm.
some of the women's work this year. We're going to call in our ancestors. We're going to
Wow.
dismantle some patriarchal shit.
Love that.
So yeah, so I'm bringing a
That
bit
sounds
more woo
incredible.
in
So
this year.
when is that?
So it is 13, 14, 15, 16th of June, and it's in
Fantastic.
Sussex, just outside Brighton. And
Nice.
it's like 480 quid, and that is everything included,
Wow. That is amazing.
including your food and your margaritas.
Well, that's important. I was going to get onto that.
Very important.
Fantastic. Wow. So those are the two things, the two focus points you've got right now. And obviously
Yeah.
you are all over the
And
show, like speaking at
with the
multiple
book.
events and yeah. So
Yeah.
where are you? Because you're still touring at the moment, aren't you?
Yes. At the moment, I've got April is pretty. I'd left April quite clear. I had a busy month in March. I don't even know where March went. Then
No, I don't know
April,
either.
I've got my HGV driving test next week.
Wow. Good luck with that.
Yeah. And then I'm going to be really mobile because I'll be able to drive my own bus. So then I'm going to make a go of trying to live on the bus for a little for the summer and see. I'm just
Fantastic.
going to go from event to event. And then
Mhm.
I'm just going to do, say I'll finish an event in Wales and I've got 2 weeks to the next one. I'm just going to put a shout out on Instagram, see if anyone's got a farm. I can come and
Yes, so
park
sure there'll
on
be plenty of farms, aren't there?
and see what happens and see where the
Oh,
adventures take me. So I will see. I
I
am
love that.
blind. I'm a reckless optimist, my friend.
That
A
see
reckless.
that is yeah. I feel like yeah. Let's all take a bit. Can you bottle that reckless
Yes.
optimism? That
Oh,
would
yeah,
sell
there
like
you go.
hotcakes.
That's the next spray that's coming out.
That's it. Reckless optimism. Um, I want to ask you just one. I know that we're kind of coming to nearly to the end of our chat, but I know a lot of the women who listen to this podcast, you know, are really feeling the sort of midlife rolling in the deep, and it seems never ending. In fact, I'd say a lot of the women in my group and even friends, you know, it feels like, you know, we've come out of the year of the snake, and a lot of them kind of feel like the year of the horse hasn't quite, you know, started galloping yet, which, you know,
Yes, Nettie, where are you? Fuck's sake.
it's what is happening. But yeah, I mean, I think you've been through so much in your life, and like even just trying to figure out what I wanted to chat to you about in this podcast. There's just so much, but it's this incredible journey to where you are now, and it's still evolving. This is only really just the beginning. But
Yeah.
I feel like if you could give, you know, the woman listening to this podcast right now, maybe feeling that she's in the thick of it and she really doesn't know how to dust herself off, get back up, and just, you know, um make a real change in her life, what kind of advice would you how would you tell her? Where should she start? What should she start with?
I think there's two things. One of which is awful. It's journaling.
Mm,
Again, there's two
yeah.
things that make me. One is the word authentic, and one is journaling. Journaling is the single most powerful tool that you have at your fingertips because particularly if you're in a bad chapter, right? So thinking about the chapters, tie the two things together. If you're thinking about your book, your life as your book, your best-selling book, and all these chapters, right? Knowing that this too shall pass, right? All these
Yeah.
cliches you see on Instagram are fucking great because they're true. This too shall pass. You will pass through the shit bit. You will pass through the hard bits. You will come out the other side. It's holding on to that knowing. I have a deep knowing that I will be all right. I
Mm.
may only have £22 in my bank account. I may not know how I'm going to pay my son's college fees by the end of tomorrow, but somehow I will figure something out. Something
Yeah.
will happen. And if it's crap, even that I'll pass through it. You just have to keep going. You are in charge of that book, right? You are in
Mm.
charge of that chapter. You have to keep turning the pages. You can write them
Yeah.
yourself. Don't wait for this to write itself. Take control of that. Journaling, when you're stuck in your shit chapter, you don't think you'll ever be okay again. But if you journal, if you look back to last Wednesday, you'll be like,
Mm.
my God, look what happened. That was what, a week ago? What?
Yeah.
Like it helps you turn the bigger pages, if you see what I mean. There's a lot of
Mm.
analogies in
Mm-hmm.
there. I don't know if it made sense.
No, it does. Yeah.
But to be able to reflect back, because
Mm.
and especially I think when something good's happening or something bad's happening, you think you're always going to remember how that feels. I'm never going to forget how this feels. But we do, like
You
20
do.
seconds later, we have been bombarded with other things.
Yeah.
This journal, this point of coming back to it's like coming back to yourself over and over again
Mm.
and just really knowing yourself and I love that journey for me. I love that journey. I'm still learning. I'm like, oh my God, look what I did there last week.
Mm.
Oh my God, look
Mm.
what I did there. um and I think learning to be reflective, that journaling
Yeah.
helps you be really reflective and helps you understand your patterns. It helps you
Yeah.
move the story forward so you can write the bigger book. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I guess also to celebrate your wins, because we
Yes,
don't spend enough
celebrate
time
the
doing
wins.
that. We
Look,
don't.
right here
Yeah.
on my desk, I do a series called Winner Winner Chicken Dinner. And
Yes.
I have to say I stole it from someone else blatantly. It's not my concept. I also love the fact that I chose this jar and it glows, makes my face glow gold. But
I love
I
that.
started this in January at New Year, and each week I write down what my wins of the week are, and it's about
Mm.
retraining your brain to look for the good shit in a world gone
Love
mad.
that.
And there's everything on there. I think my very first win of the week was the fact that I had enough money to pay a parking ticket.
Yes.
All the way through to, my dad's cancer,
Yeah.
being able to take him to the hospital, to the fact that, look, this week it was sunshine. I'd bought daffodils.
Oh.
Um, and I got invited to do a red carpet event. That was not a bad
I
week.
mean,
And
those
I've
are some
even
serious wins. I love that.
there's some serious. And then in here is a pound I found in a coat pocket in February.
Winning.
But so this is like a mini journal, if you like. This is just focusing on the good stuff.
That's great. And I love the fact that it's visual. It's an actual physical thing that you do.
And I cart it around everywhere with me. I should have bought a slightly better job. But
yeah, big one.
Just doing this helps me keep focused every week, because every week I have to, all week I'm thinking, what my wins of the week going to be on Wednesday?
That's
fantastic. And
fantastic.
it really helps me focus in on it. So actually doing it is really powerful. And on Saturday, I was out marching against the far right, and no less than 12 strangers came up and went, I fucking love winner chicken dinner. They went,
go.
And I'm like, it's amazing, because so many people don't comment on Instagram. They just keep it quiet.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just the nature now. People like to lurk, but when they see you in person, they'll go, yeah, no, I saw that post. And then I always think, but why didn't you actually comment on it?
You say something, or they'll come up to me and they'll drop something in, and I like, so you are watching my post.
But you are watching.
Yeah, brilliant. But winner chicken dinner,
I love that.
It's been an actual game changer for me. Never mind everybody else. So winner chicken dinner.
So I feel like your takeaway from this podcast should be you have to start winner chicken dinner. Okay.
Start the bare minimum. Start winner chicken
dinner.
Bare
minimum. Yeah.
Bare minimum. There you go.
I love that. And that is just really retraining your brain, isn't it? To look for the positives.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be. I mean, red carpet was like, whatever, what a wanker. Wow. Like, lucky wanker this week. But, the week before is literally, I just had enough money to pay a parking ticket, or I found £1. Like, but, and it doesn't, there's loads of shit stuff going on as well. But if I am just honing in on that, it helps. It helps me cope with the other stuff, right? So if your glass is half empty, when the shit goes down, at least you've got a bit of a buffer literally in my jar to help me with the bad stuff, because you can never stop the bad stuff happening.
No,
shit
you can't.
happens. That's always going to just keep happening. So it's a way to navigate with that and shape shift with the shit, if you like.
I love that.
I didn't ask you if I was allowed to swear.
Shit.
I'm quite conscious of the fact that you probably put a parental guide.
No, I love that. That's my favorite part. Shape shift with the shit.
Yeah, shapeshift with the shit.
That should be in the book, by the way. Put that in the book.
Stylishly. That can be a chapter.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Stylishly shapeshift with the shit.
Stylishly shapeshift. I love that. Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, I feel like we've had such a great chat, and I really appreciate you coming on and just sharing your journey. And just thank you for the incredible impact that you have on so many women, including myself. And so if anyone's watching this, so you can watch this episode on YouTube, obviously, please leave a little comment, click the like and subscribe button. If you're listening on Spotify, then, make sure you subscribe for the next episode. Lu, it's been an absolute pleasure. And so where is the best place for people to find you?
You can find me on Instagram. You can subscribe to my newsletter on Substack. She says like she does a regular newsletter. When I can cobble it together, you can get a newsletter that'll tell you when big things are happening. I'm only saying that because I actually managed to write an actual newsletter today.
Well, there we go. It's there.
Instagram is the best part.
Okay.
But yeah.
Fantastic.
Please come find me. Come to camp. Be brave. Do something. Just do something that scares you this week, because there's magic in the fear.
Oh, I love that so much. Amazing. Well, let's end on that high note.
Thank you for having me, darling.
You're so welcome. Thanks for joining me, and thanks for watching. Thank you.